All right, today we're going to dive into a really powerful idea that can totally change how you communicate, turning those frustrating arguments into conversations that actually work. Let's get into it. So have you ever had one of those moments, you see someone you care about struggling, you know exactly what they should do, you offer up your brilliant advice, and boom, they get defensive, they shut you down, or maybe they just nod and completely ignore you. It's super frustrating, right? Well, there's a really good reason why our best intentions so often go wrong.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start by looking at a super common communication trap we all fall into. Then we'll break down the huge difference between dialogue and teaching. After that, we'll talk about knowing which role you're in, how to help in a way that actually works, and finally, a simple three-step process to make sure people really get what you're saying.
Okay, so let's tackle the big problem first. It all starts with that moment we decide we've got the answer and someone else needs to hear it. Our desire to help can, ironically, lead us straight into a dead end.
And here is the trap. We try to inject our solution into the other person's brain. Think about that word, inject. It sounds kind of aggressive, doesn't it? It's not a conversation. It's a one-way street. And what happens? It immediately puts the other person on the defensive. They put up a wall, and once that door is slammed shut, it's not just closed for this conversation, it makes them less likely to listen to you the next time too. So if that's the trap, how do we avoid it? Well, the key is to understand that we have two totally different modes of communication at our disposal, and everything depends on knowing which one to use and when.
First up, we've got dialogue. Think of this as a conversation between equals. It's horizontal. The goal isn't to win or to be right. It's just to share. It's all about, hey, here's my perspective on this, but I'm genuinely curious what's yours. It's a team sport.
Let's put these two side by side because the difference is night and day. Dialogue is collaborative. It's peer-to-peer. It's all about exchanging ideas. Teaching, on the other hand, is more directive. Its goal is that injection of knowledge we talked about, but the purpose is a good one, to give someone strength. It's just that the relationship is naturally hierarchical.
And that brings us to teaching. Now, effective teaching isn't just about dumping information. It's a real transfer of energy. It's about giving knowledge to someone who is actively looking for it, and you tailor it to them to help them grow and become stronger. But here's the absolute key. They have to be asking for it. They have to be ready to learn.
This leads us to the most practical question of all. Which role are you supposed to be in? Are you a peer or are you a teacher? The answer changes everything, and getting this wrong is, honestly, where almost all communication problems start.
You know, the rules of engagement are actually pretty simple once you see them. You have a dialogue with your equals, your friends, your colleagues, and you have a dialogue with anyone who has not explicitly asked you for help. But you only switch into teaching mode when someone has actually come to you seeking your guidance. That's when you're invited to be the teacher or the mentor. Because here's exactly what happens when we get it wrong. You jump into teacher mode with someone who didn't ask for it. And even if your advice is pure gold, they won't hear it. What they hear is arrogance. They might smile and nod, but inside, I promise you, they are thinking this exact phrase. Who do they think they are? And just like that, you've lost them.
Okay, so let's say you get the green light. Someone comes to you. They want your help. You're officially in the teacher role. Now what? Well, this is where it gets interesting, because what it means to truly help someone is probably the opposite of what most of us think. It's not about just being nice.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, but a lot of the things we do to help can actually backfire. Being super friendly all the time can make people comfortable, sure, but it can also make them complacent. Wasting their time with small talk can distract them from the hard work they need to do. And hovering over them, that just creates dependence, not strength.
So what does real helping look like? It's about setting up the right environment where they can do the work. It's about watching from a distance, giving them the space to struggle and figure things out on their own. You only step in when they hit a wall and are truly stuck. Your goal isn't to make them comfortable, it's to help them become independent.
All right, this brings us to the final, crucial piece of the puzzle. Even if you're the perfect teacher, one conversation is almost never enough. Real, deep understanding doesn't happen in an instant. It's a process, and it unfolds in 3 specific stages.
This is so fascinating. The insight here is that when you explain something to someone for the first time, even if they nod their head and say, I get it, they've probably only truly absorbed about 30% of it. The other 70% is still kind of foggy. They've heard the words, but they haven't internalized the meaning yet.
And that reveals this beautiful cycle of learning. Step 1, they listen and get that first 30%. Step 2, and this is the most important part, is they have to go try it. They apply what you taught them, and that's when they immediately discover that missing 70%. They run into problems. And that leads to step 3. They come back to you with specific questions, which allows you to fill in the gaps and get them all the way to 100%.
So the huge takeaway here is that mastery isn't an event, it's a process. It's a cycle. As a teacher, a mentor, a leader, your job isn't just to give that first speech. Your job is to create the space for this entire cycle to play out. You should actually expect them to come back with problems. That's a sign that it's working.
And that pretty much wraps it up. This is such a powerful lens to look at our daily interactions through. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. The next time you find yourself about to offer some advice, just pause for a second and ask yourself, is this a moment for dialogue, or am I just trying to teach? The answer might just change everything. Thanks for tuning in.